Greetings, Hermes Press fans. Dan Herman, publisher of Hermes Press, to show you one of our new art monographs, which is available now in bookstores near you, or from our website, or on Amazon.com, or anywhere that fine art books are sold. This is a book chronicling the unknown work that Bernie Wrightson did for Gang of Seven Animation. Unfortunately, as many of you know, Bernie passed away this year, and this book came out subsequent to his passing. At San Diego Comic-Con, we had a panel memorializing Bernie and discussing this work that he had done for Gang of Seven. What makes this book unusual is that it shows the model sheets and concepts for cartoons that made it to the small screen, what would be Biker Mice from Mars, and cartoons that were conceptualized and developed as theatrical cartoons, theatrical animation, which to this day have not yet seen the big screen, and they're still waiting for that type of reception. He worked on a concept called the Juice, and I'll show you some of the work on the Juice. He also worked on a short animated cartoon called Change for $1, which is based on a poster that he did in 1976. And he also worked on a fascinating adaptation of a graphic novel that he had done. Actually, it was done as a group of stories, and it was collected as a graphic novel. Freak Show. This book comes in two versions, but let's look at the version that's available as a general trade book. It's a hardcover book. It's printed on a very heavy matte coated artstock paper, and it has concept drawings from various cartoons that he worked on, animated cartoons that he worked on. A good example of what we tried to show in this book is what the pencil piece looked like that he developed, and then how the Gang of Seven colored it for the purposes of animation. So that's on the next page. And this is from Freak Show. There's also a preface by Mike Kaluta, who did a really beautiful job writing a very nice piece about Bernie. And then there's a retrospective, and the retrospective gives readers, and readers already know about Bernie. If you read comic books from the 70s onwards, it's impossible not to know about Bernie. If you're familiar with his Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, it's impossible not to be impressed by the phenomenal work done by Bernie. But nevertheless, it's good in a book like this to have an essay which sums up his career and shows examples of his work. And this are all taken from original art. This original art, most of it was secured by one of our special projects editors. So a shout out for Brian Peck, who did a lot of work on this book. In fact, Brian went down to Gang of Seven and got a lot of the material used in this book and actually scanned from the original artwork a lot of the artwork in this book. This book has interviews with the owner of Gang of Seven, Tom T. It has a piece written by Rick Unger, who's the owner and creator, who's the owner of Biker Mice from Mars, explaining what Bernie did. But the art speaks for itself. And Bernie took these characters and redesigned them, and he was a phenomenal cartoonist and a phenomenal illustrator. And there's a difference between an illustrator and a cartoonist. And Bernie's talent extended to both ends of the spectrum. He could do really, really phenomenal Bigfoot illustration, sketches, cartoons, caricatures, and he could do his own classic pen and ink work. This is one of the characters, Charlie, and you can see his pencil sketch model sheet contrasted with the final colored-in model sheet. You'll notice that he approved it and signed the final colored one. And we have a lot of the, these are the biker mice. That's his concept for the biker mice, and that was used in the poster, the advertising poster for the biker mice. But he came up with a lot of interesting characters, a lot of interesting creatures. One of the things that we found most interesting in going through the literally thousands of drawings that he did as character sketches and model sheets was that he had one particular character who resembles somebody near and dear to everyone in the United States now. This is a character called Ronaldo Rump, and this is how the character developed. He started out in this manner, and then he very, very slowly changed into someone who looks amazingly similar to the Donald. Or should I call him the Donald the President? Anyway, you can even see Bernie working on doing sketches, and you can see him with a newspaper with the Donald's picture on it. So this was one of the characters from Biker Mice, and you can see what a good caricaturist Bernie was. Bernie loved doing caricatures. We have one particular model sheet where one of the characters would morph into different political characters, and there's the model sheet. He's got everybody on here. He's got Bill Clinton, he's got George Bush, he's got Richard Nixon, Bill Clinton, if I didn't mention that. And on the opposite page, he has one called Richard Brand something. Gee, I wonder who that could be. It might be the guy that owns Virgin Airlines. But these are all characters in Biker Mice, and this shows some of the characters that he came up with for the show, which again shows the flexibility of his abilities, which is not to be taken lightly. For those who want to see more traditional Bernie Wrightson work, that's also covered in the book. This section deals with Freak Show, and you can see the advertising art, and you can see the cover for the graphic novel that was printed. And here's an example of one of the concept pieces that he did, the black and white concept piece, and then how it was colored in by Gang of Seven. We have a lot of examples of this in the book. Here's another example, which is classic Bernie Wrightson pencils, which was then taken and colored by Gang of Seven. In order to give, here's another example of work which is quintessential Bernie Wrightson. In order to give people buying this book a better idea of where all the model sheets and all the concepts wound up, there were animation pitches done. We took frames from sequential frames showing how the pencil drawings and the color drawings were then turned into animation, and we have that throughout the book. When we go to the juice, and you'll notice again that's another classic Bernie Wrightson concept. Again, we're showing the pencils, the original pencils scanned from the original artwork, against the colored version to show you how the animators would use it. And in another example, we show you the transformational scene. I'm getting to that point in the book where the young fellow turns into a werewolf, and we have the actual drawing on the one side, and then we have the transformational scene from the animated from the animation. So you can see how it was broken down and used for animation. At the end of this chapter, we have again frames showing part of the animation that was done in order to try to sell the concept. The book ends with a poster that Bernie did called Change for a Dollar, which was turned into an animated short. I think it's about 4 minutes long, and it shows how they broke it down. These pencils are by an animator, they're not by Bernie. So this book is available now. It's available through Amazon.com. It's available through bookstores and comic book stores. And it's available through Hermes Press. For Comic-Con International, we prepared a very limited edition of 100 books that was sold as an exclusive. We have a few left. These books are not available through anybody. They're not available through Diamond. They're not available through any bookstore. They're only available through Hermes Press, which makes this a rather unique book. And it has unique features. First of all, it has the concept that's been colored on the back and the front as opposed to the pencil artwork. Some people may or may not like that better. It also has a download card. Now you may say, what is a download card? If you're interested in seeing Change for a Dollar, the animated short, then the only way that you can see Change for a Dollar, because it's never been released in its entirety in a high resolution form, is to have this card, because on this back it has a number and it has a web address. You can go to that web address just like you can by downloading music or video. And you can download the entire cartoon in a high-res version, so you can watch it as many times as you want. And there are only 100 of these cards, which go with the 100 limited editions. And it's also got a pretty neat illustration on the front, which comes from the animated short. We took one of our favorite pieces that Bernie did, which is the Werewolf, and we made a print out of it and printed it on a wood-free paper, which resembles the kind of stock that the actual pieces were drawn on. And this is got Bernie's initial on it, although that's part of the art that was scanned. This is the initial is not original. Neither is the piece. It's a print. However, it is hand-signed and numbered, and there are only 100 of them. As you can see, this is 64 of 100. So this book sells for $100, and we sold a great number of them at Comic-Con. We do have a few left, and if anybody's interested in this particular book, you can buy it on our website. So for Bernie Wrightson fans, a tribute to one of the great comic artists, great illustrators to come out of the comic book industry in the last 50 years. Truly a gifted and talented individual who brought his own voice to horror, and will be sorely missed by comic fans and just people who knew him, because he was an incredibly gracious person. That being said, if you're interested in the book, the limited edition or the regular edition, they're both available on our website. Regular edition is available anywhere you try to get it. So that's it for now. Bye-bye.